What's up guys, it's me JyleRandom and this is Storytime! Yay! Sorry that I don't really sound like I have a lot of energy in my voice. It's because I am actually recording this in the middle of the night because I actually had this idea in my head and I wanted to record my narration right now. So what is Storytime about? Well, actually this is just kind of a short video where I put a bunch of things in a bunch of edited stuff where I put my experience and stuff to tell like basically a funny, sad, or really informative story for you guys. This is basically something that's not recently, that has happened to me before and my friends, and I really hope that you guys would enjoy it. So for this story time, I actually want to talk about a time where me and my friends were actually stranded at a time in the middle of nowhere. Well, not really in the middle of nowhere, you could say we were close to civilization, but at the same time we were in the middle of nowhere, literally. So here's the thing. We were done playing airsoft battles, right? So everyone started to pack their bags since it's so late and tired, and we just wanted to go home. And so one of my friends had the idea that they could call their mom that they can give us a ride. But the thing is, one of their mothers actually had to go to work, if I remember correctly how it went. We couldn't find a ride because his mother had to find work, which is of course understandable, but that did left the four of us stranded with no ride. So this one guy actually came to us asking if we had any ride or any transportation for us to go home. Well, we still had faith that his mother was still gonna come and pick us up, but so he left us alone. We waited a few minutes or so, and well, we were starting to lose it. We are literally hungry and dying. And not to mention, there was dogs, man. We had, I think, pit bulls walking around in search for any kinds of authorities that isn't permitted. You see, I'm not that much scared of dogs, but when it comes to pit bull, I myself am going to shit my pants if that ever time comes to my way. But imagine this though. My friend, of course, are naturally scared of pit bulls. Well, because of obvious reasons. Because they're pit bulls. Hello. Just imagine this though. My friend, let's call him Y in this case. My friend Y, imagine a Colombian that is semi-skinny and buff at the same time climbing a crater. Not the crater that you find on the ground, I mean crater that people use for shipping. Imagine that. Imagine that happening before your eyes while dogs look like they're about to approach you. And so that literally happened. I myself were about to go up into the crater itself. But of course, eventually the owner had finally calmed down the incoming dogs, and so we decided to finally just start walking and find a way of communication, Wi-Fi or signal anywhere, just to get in contact with anyone. Even texting our fellow friends and members of our own team in Airsoft was some help, but not much to require from it. So here we are walking to find civilization, or in some case of communication. Just try to imagine a bunch of guys holding a bag full of weapons and gear while wearing some sort of militaristic equipment around them. Wouldn't you find that a bit sketchy? Of course you would find it a bit sketchy. A lot of people would find it a bit sketchy. That's why we've been getting a lot of oogly eyes while we walked. Not to mention we've been walking as well in the middle of a road. But of course we didn't walk much. We just walked about a few meters far from the freaking field. And so we ended up in this restaurant, which is not much to the eye to open. And so we finally at least were able to find drinks. And thank God, believe me, when you're tired as hell from the heat and exhaustion, water or any kind of liquid that comes in contact with your mouth would be heavenly. But of course, that didn't mean that we were getting sketchy eyes from the customers inside the restaurant. Although thankfully they did get only one customer from the slow business, since of course it's kind of, well, I don't know, in the middle of nowhere. But that also meant that we did get sketchy eyes from the bartender herself. But she was kind enough to give us the drinks that we needed and as well as help by giving us Wi-Fi. So we were able to text our friends, which was, well, quite a while since most of them weren't really much help. But we eventually were able to finally get a guy to finally get us back home, and thank God I really wanted to hug the guy because I was exhausted. Well, my friend Y probably wasn't, but I was in the verge of sleep. Waited a few more hours and then one of our phones dies and then eventually my phone dies, but finally this guy finally comes to get us, and my gosh, is this guy looking, well, don't judge me and don't hate on me in this, but how I saw the guy, well, in my eyes, he looked like the most miserable person in the world. Not that appearance is very judging, but it's just how my first impression of him went. So he brought my friends home, and then finally he brought my best friend Y back home. Well, Y and this guy actually knew each other, but so the communication was pretty fairly okay. Not that I'm so socially awkward with people, it's just that I don't really know the guy, so I don't really know the topics he would always mingle on. So he brought me home, and on the way home, my gosh, you know, one of those guys, well, old people who talk endlessly about their lives and their problems and their so-called jobs in a way. You see, I'm not the only person, or we're not the only person that he takes home all the time. He actually takes a lot of people home with no charge. Not that I think it's sketchy, but he says that he just loves and enjoy doing these kind of things in a charity way. And in my thoughts, while I was listening while the guy rambles, in my thoughts I was like, wow, I really am an a-hole for thinking this guy looks some kind of miserable person. And so I shook the thought off, and finally we arrived back home. I didn't really want him to know where I lived, so I just gave him about halfway through where my home was. And so finally we just bid goodbye and farewell and went off. But that doesn't mean I continued walking with people still looking at me weird with the equipment and the bags and how I dressed. Man, people can really judge fast. But that's not really the point of this story. The point of the story is, when you're going outside, please, please guys, always be prepared. Do not be like me and my friends, and especially my best friend. Why? Believe me, you would be in a very horrible situation if you were to ever go out with no plan. Cause man, we were having a horrible time looking for transportation back home. And believe me, finding a place back home is one of the worst things you could experience at a very young age. Not that I'm a very young age, but man, I was exhausted, just like the rest. And so anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this short video that I made. I really did have fun recording this, as much as I am tired. I'm recording this in the middle of the night. Can you please give me a break here? Please, once again, remember to always go with a plan when you're going out with friends or alone, guys. And also don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more content like this. And I will see you all in the next video. Well, if this video goes well, I might make another story time. But that's up to you guys. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out. Boop.